Hey everybody, Lane Nordlund here at the LaneCast Ag Podcast and the Western Ag Network. Thanks for joining us for our Livestock Market Recap as we look to see what the markets did ending the week of March 15th, 2024. And I tell you what, these prices continue to impress not only in the cash market but also in our local livestock markets. In particular, these slaughter cattle in Cull market continues just to surge higher. We're going to see what some of those prices did in our local livestock markets, along with some of those factors here in today's program. But before we get there, let's see how those cash cattle markets are shaped up on the week, along with the futures board. You know, the livestock complex really did charge through Friday's session and really capitalized on the strength of the cash cattle market that really was delayed until the latter half of the week. Live cash cattle deals ranged anywhere from $185 up to $190, a few dollars higher, of course, in the previous week's trade, but the bulk of sales in that $186 range for southern cattle, and up in the north, $187 to $188 was the trend. And those northern dress cattle traded for $4 higher than the previous week's activity, coming in at $298. And for the most part, we did see cattle futures close higher on Friday. Taking a look at those June live cattle futures, they were up 22 cents at the close at $183.60. Live markets up 52 cents at $182.62. Feeder cattle futures ending the Friday session with 75 cents to $1.90 gains. Feeders in April up 95 cents at $252.12, with those feeder cattle up $1.17 in May at $256 straight across. Again, we're continuing to track those every single day on the Western Ag Network radio programs across the West, but enjoy giving you this recap here today. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation today, these market cows continue to just trade higher. This past week, they traded $1 to $7 higher than the previous week, and the national average cutter quality cows hovered around $100 a hundredweight. And of course, we know that reduced availability of cows is undeniably driving these prices higher, with tight supplies bolstering the meat market for beef slaughter cows. Since the beginning of the year, cow beef production has witnessed a decline of approximately 14% compared to the corresponding period last year. Now, although heavier weights contribute to increased production output, they only are partially offsetting the impact of fewer animals actually being slaughtered. Our friends at CattleFacts are reporting the average U.S. 550-pound steer calf reached $3.20 a hundredweight. Now, this represents a $40 increase since the start of the year. And looking at some of the factors, we got to look at the feed cost as well. Given a sufficient corn crop and a robust futures market, it is anticipated that these calf prices will stabilize firmly in the low $3 range this fall. And while feeder cattle are expected to surpass previous record highs at some juncture throughout the year, corn inventory levels are approaching a 4-year low and are expected to persist in declining. They're aligning with the prevailing corn market conditions as feed yards manage inventories purchased over recent months, and consequently, this downward trend is anticipated to result in reduced costs over gains, with feed-only expenses estimated to hover around $1 per pound during the summer closeout. So just a few indicators there on how the corn market could impact these calf prices over the coming weeks and months. Hey, we're going to break down what some of the prices were in our local livestock markets, but we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back starting with Torrington Livestock right after this.
Why beef? Because it sustains my family's 6th generation family ranch, America, and a good chunk of the world.
Well, as we come back today, let's look to what some of our local livestock markets across Western Ag Network country were averaging this week. Earlier at Torrington Livestock, their feeder cattle sale had over 2,600 head sale, and the market was steady except for 5.5 weight heifers. They were trading $5 higher. So we're seeing those 5.5 to 593 weight heifers bring a price of $2.89 to $3.14 a pound, while the 6 to 646 weight heifers $2.89 to $2.96. And the 6 to 6.5 weights, $3.11 to $3.23, with the 712 to 738 pound steers, $2.75 to $2.93. On to Dickinson, North Dakota, let's head. We're over 4,200 head sold this week. At Stockman's Livestock Exchange, feeder steers under 700 pounds were $10 to $15 higher, with some instances of $20 higher on the 5 to 5.5 weights. The 5 to 5.5s brought a price of $3.45 to $3.72, with the 6 to 6.5 weight steers there in Dickinson, $2.97 to $3.20. As for feeder heifers under 750 pounds, they were $5 to $10 higher, with some instances of $12 higher on the 6 to 6.5 weight heifers. The 560 to 6 weight heifers, $2.79 to $3.08, with the 6 to 637 weight heifers, $2.65 to $2.94. And from Dickinson, North Dakota, let's go where Gus made a pit stop to see Clara there near Ogallala. There at Ogallala Livestock Auction, over 5,400 head sold this week, with the 5.5 to 6 weight steers $3.13 to $3.35, with the 6.5 to 7 weight steers $2.90 to $3.16. Now we're going to take a break from some of these western markets. We're going to look further east to Albany, Minnesota. And you may be wondering, Lane, why the heck are we looking at a market there in Albany, Minnesota? Well, it's because I want to tell you the truth. But no, my friend Joe Gill, a farm broadcaster there in Minnesota, sent me the Holstein steer market from Central Livestock in Albany, Minnesota. And friends, hold on to your hats for this one. There in Minnesota, 3 to 400 weight Holstein steers brought a price of $2.92 to $3.46 this week. 4 to 6 weight steers, $2.44 to $3.09. And the 9 to 1,000 weight Holstein steers, $1.77 to $2.07. Again, these are Holstein steers there in Minnesota, bringing some impressive prices here in March of 2024. I just thought that it'd be fun to throw in some prices for usually steers that really don't bring too much, but in today's marketplace, woof, wish I had about 1,000 head of those to sell there in Minnesota. Closer to where I live, there, Western Livestock Auction, Great Falls, Montana. The cow market was $3 to $7 higher, with slaughter and utility cows priced at $110 to $128 a hundredweight this week. Heiferettes seeing a price of $170 to $192, with slaughter bulls in north central Montana seeing a price $2 to $9 higher at $127 to $144. Off to Salina, Utah now, over 1,100 head selling at Producers Livestock Auction this week, with feeder steers weighing 5 to 5.5 weight selling $3.75 higher. Those also weighing 5.5 to 750 were steady to $7.50 lower, with feeder heifers weighing 4.5 to 650 pounds selling $2.75 to $5.75 lower. And finally, let's throw some sheep and goat markets in here today. Centennial Livestock there in Fort Collins, Colorado. Slaughtered lambs sold sharply higher on a light test, with 90 to 109 weight lambs bringing $240 to $300, with slaughtered kids making up the bulk of the sale. They were selling $3 higher, with the 50 to 66 weight slaughter kids seeing a price of $152 to $200. Again, a quick recap of the many local livestock markets out across Western Ag Network country. Just a quick glimpse of what these cattle and sheep markets are doing here in March of 2024. Again, thanks for joining us here on our weekend livestock market recap. Hopefully that gave you a glimpse of what these markets are doing right down the road from you, or maybe all the way across the nation there in Minnesota as well. We appreciate you joining us here on the Western Ag Network and the LaneCast Ag Podcast. If you haven't done so, make sure and subscribe to the YouTube channel for Western Ag Network or the LaneCast Ag Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, hope you're having a good day here today. I'm going to drink a little more coffee and get back to seeing how the calving's going outside here. So thanks for joining us here today. I'm Lane Nordlund. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the LaneCast with Talkin' Ag, Lane Nordlund. For more on Lane, check out his Facebook page, Lane Nordlund Ag Broadcaster, and NordlundCommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the LaneCast on your Apple or Android devices. We look forward to joining you next time on the LaneCast.